Kuzangpo and welcome to Bhutan This Week with me, Pemal Haddon. First, our top stories of the week. His Majesty the King and the Gelson graced the opening ceremony of the first session of the Second Parliament on Wednesday. 11 army personnel who died in an explosion in Ha were cremated with full military honors last Saturday. The Bhutan Board for Certified Councillors has been inaugurated in Thimphu to standardize and facilitate the profession of counselling. The first session of the Second Parliament began on Wednesday. The opening included a traditional chip drill ceremony. His Majesty the King and the Gelson graced the opening ceremony. His Majesty the King and the Gelson were received in a traditional chip drill procession. His Majesty the King was received by the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Prime Minister, the Opposition Leader, the National Council Chairperson, Cabinet Ministers and members of the Parliament. In the opening remarks, the Speaker Kuzangpo expressed gratitude to His Majesty the King for the support to the family members of the victims who died in an explosion in Ha. The Prime Minister opened his statement by thanking His Majesty the King for his guidance, benevolence and steadfast support in the democratic process. Nation also thanked the Hmong body, armed forces and every citizen for supporting the elections. The Prime Minister also thanked His Majesty the King for offering sympathy to the families and the loved ones of the victims of the army personnel who died in an explosion at the ammunition disposal site in Ha.
Sane halu ngacharegi tensung mamegi chala kha chetokto zenamdalu loburgi kengen tondigi be tuken jusigi sagonalu dutelera ngacharegi myongadar moche cho jennandigi be tuken letendigi nepsu myongadar moche koragi danzi zenandi menchu lejimbe zenai digi mase tuken jugi sagonalu ngacharegi tensung mamisu shiken jumisugi mijada gesasu lejimbe zenamika nyamgyubasugi amsuda alusu sasasugi tenlu tu sei sirada kidu matutubbe namle tendi khorasugi mise lejimbe chon subigi dokte su namidilu ngache dumi yongi hontole myongadar mochelu hing tamikilera kariche shuni tangachere myongadar mochegi chachup sembi yamsin chewi zeja dizum jewdalu dalefa ngacharegi takasumgi mamisugi gekhapgi sungchopgi chala zebdalu ngenkachengi chala zebdalu khoragi solu parche kadichibe jura uzumchibe wachen khoragi sasa gagi danzi beongase khoragi alusu pechatasuga se sage lamongoba cha shusuni imme se shunila.
Lynchen also said the exemplary relationship that exists between Bhutan and India is due to wise and able leadership of the successive kings.
Jaga jungda chika the tundi beshimle ngacharegi gekhapgi tenlu japchor borchetutobe nai se shuni. Chaji chubigil hanju saya sumtong gubjada chaji chuchibigi tondale saya tonta shipchu shenga ngacharegi gekhapgi penjor yarge tanigi lerimgi tondale saya nga yongdom saya tonta ngapchu nga ji tingachi gekhaplu dorambe chinibe ta chemidi zora ngacharegi myongadar moche chogi te lamten zam namle tendi in se shuni.
The opening session was also graced by Their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and the Princesses, senior government officials and the international dignitaries. The discussion on the agenda formally begins from tomorrow with a motion to restructure the committees and election of committee members. Pemasuki for BBS News. On Wednesday afternoon, His Majesty the King also graced the opening session of the National Council.
His Majesty the King was received by the chairperson and the members of the National Council. This ceremony began with the offering of Shudral Finsum Sokpa, followed by Marchang ceremony. In the opening remarks, His Majesty the King spoke on the importance of building a better and stronger nation for the future generations.
Rikpa sap, the nyamyong, the kachizum chi chuinga sawachin. Ngachira, the ngachiso da chetu chengi tumi beruda, jung beruda, ngachira shiop, takasumgi magde, chede kada, the ngachira mise, the ngachiso da, the ngachi misisul, ngachi dupsul, choduble berul, rikpa le beru, tsela re beru. Topshuk ngage ngachigi nosum tantang jawa chulam tatamsi lejumde da te rangi gehablu shatsatang di jenda maruji dul da ka chishu di chaka tsuida machugi member beshimda di be mabegi khabaji imbal te talapa guzung dibe da ngachi chodub di te jenda maruwe du da ka chisudira ngachiragi churubdi yogyudibe rangi gehablu shatsatutube cha shunidi kache sitebe normal.
His Majesty the King reminded the councillors of their responsibilities.
The bechop the machop tup matup lejim the sop randin the ngachira gehabgi tadin the tisulejimbe yawapchigol. The dimase ngachiragi na chodigi jagoi lamluswe the dance tabugulu ngachira maungbagi gehabgi dendele ka chishu di the geblera guzung ngachira penka chetu jengi tumi gaara kwani jeje bendigi the pje zamdi ngachigi bere tyongobel the talepara berura the ngachiragi geo chodigi tumi sugi damsi zambigulu the kagi jamchi member beshimda kadalap ta tungo selabda zumbe the kade jada the longagi rinlu the ngachi migi tonsara the cha shubera the tasakyong noigi rawad melombul.
Meanwhile, the chairperson of the National Council, Sonam Kinga, highlighted some of the issues that will be deliberated in the session. The chairperson said, apart from other issues, the House will focus on the 11th five-year plan.
Tato miselu kachiu dira chaji chujibada changi di imle di ni giong tsudu na sunde nashina chajib tilchin zede chajo dumni rewa yula. Shenyang gekham ki tenkong nyusu jiwa mimi detsu gotam zebda chada chori meba yetsam dembe ki tsiji to zegobi ge denlu hemei shungi temkong gongpel nangjin lalen tami kole tsijib wanzingi tsijib zemi nyinjude ngache giong tsodi shungchon leden tsochungi chajib ze yemegu shisha shina shungi mangil jen gotam zedabachin tab deu madyogi rikpada nyamnyong tsijib nyinjude le lenshina penlap chewi sungde da decha jun tsubige rewayula.
The ceremony ended by expressing gratitude to His Majesty King for his visionary guidance and support by the chairperson and the council members. Sharab Zangmo for BBS News.
11 army personnel who died in an explosion at the ammunition disposal site in Ha on 2nd September were cremated with full military honors last Saturday. Their outstanding contributions to the nation were remembered during the state funeral in Thimphu.
It was a service of thanksgiving as family and friends gathered to cherish their fondest memories of their loved ones. Members of the royal family, the Prime Minister, parliamentarians and the Indian ambassador to Bhutan, V.P. Haran, were among the hundreds who attended the cremation. Among those who witnessed the final rites were hundreds of army personnel. According to a news release from the Royal Bhutan Army, the next of kin of the deceased soldiers will be entitled to a gratuity of maximum of 900,000 nultram, group insurance scheme of 100,000 nultram, Hamchu Sura and Semso of 240,000 nultram. They are also entitled of terminal benefit of 2 months' salary and leave encashment. Apart from repatriation allowance and Tunken Sura, the families will also get a monthly pension. Besides other benefits, His Majesty the King also granted 300,000 nultram each. The next of kin will also receive pay and ration every month as Sura till the deceased attain pensionable age. His Majesty the King will also grant them land as Kidu. Compiled for Karmasiring, Tandon Finso BBS News.
One more soldier succumbed to injuries on the same day of the state funeral, increasing the death toll of the soldiers killed in the Ha explosion to 12. The soldier has been flown to Kolkata on ventilator support. On the morning of the state funeral, he had been admitted to the Army Command Hospital's ICU but did not survive. The soldier had suffered 75% burn injuries. To standardize, promote and facilitate the profession of counselling, the Bhutan Board for Certified Counsellors was launched in Thimphu on Thursday. The founder and the president of Renew, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, Sangye Chodron Wangchuk, graced the inaugural.
The Bhutan Board for Certified Counsellors was launched by Her Majesty the Queen Mother Sangye Chodron Wangchuk. Addressing the gathering, Her Majesty the Queen Mother said the launch marks the important milestone in strengthening counselling services in the country. Her Majesty the Queen Mother said over the years, the need for counselling services have become even greater with an increasing mental health disorder, domestic violence and sexual abuse among others.
It is heartening to note that over the years, several individuals and organizations have acknowledged the problems and have initiated programs to provide counseling services. Today, we have many young men and women who have been educated in counseling and psychology from universities around the world. These young professionals have chosen a vocation to serve humanity, and it is our responsibility and in the best interest of our people to provide them the support and assistance to carry out their noble task.
The BBCC will certify the counsellors and their license to practice. The board will also provide platform for the counsellors to exchange ideas and to enhance their skills. It will also maintain the network of counsellors.
What the board is trying to do is also trying to bring in counsellors who are practicing in different fields, and see that they have followed the required standards that the board has set for the people practicing in our country.
The launch was followed by a 2-day biannual counselling conference attended by counsellors from various fields. The conference is organized by Renew with funds from National Board of Certified Counsellors in the US and UNICEF. Sonam Lhamo for PBS News.
The annual Hami Drupchen in the capital began some 2 weeks ago. On Tuesday, thousands gathered to witness the Marx dances performed at the courtyard of Tashi Chezong. Unlike other days, these days the courtyard of Tashikchazong is abuzz with the annual Hamui Drupchen. Thousands of people decked in their best attire have packed the courtyard to witness the Drupchen. According to the Jung Drasang, Hamui Drupchen is one of the sacred rituals and festivals in the country. It is dedicated to Pelden Hamo, the protecting deity of Bhutan. Two varieties of marks dances were performed. They are called Makcham and Lhamsom Kuncham. The Lhamsom Kuncham marks the end of the 15-day Drupchen ceremony dedicated to appease the protecting deity Pelden Hamo.
I learned that Domche is very sacred. In 1616, Shabdung, accompanied by his disciples, came to Bhutan, and in Domche, these disciples have performed the marks dances.
The Thimpul Hamui Drupche is very sacred and different compared to other festivals. When Shabdung came to Bhutan, all the kuchams were instituted, and today we can see this cham out here.
Hamui Drupchen was started in 1710 by J. Kinga Gelson, the first reincarnation of Jampel Doji, the son of Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal. Legend has it that Pelden Hamo appeared before J. Kinga Gelson while he was meditating and performed the dance. Since then, the sacred ceremony has been performed over 300 years now. The Drupchen will end tomorrow and the 3-day annual Thimpul Sechu will begin this weekend. For BBS News, this is Pemal Hardin's report. During the annual Hamui Drupchen, people started heading to Tashikchazong as early as 8 p.m. The main prayer ceremony normally begins at 2 a.m. on Monday. Reporter Tenzin Rabge followed the people headed to the ceremony.
The first thing that you notice as you drive towards the Tashikchazong are droves of young people. This is probably the only night when parents willingly send their teenagers out this late. It was 11 p.m. when we reached the Zong. At the entrance, a long line of people waited, frisked by the police on duty. As you enter the courtyard of the Zong, you are greeted by the sound of thousands of people, mostly young, chatting with their friends.
Actually, I'm here to enjoy with my friends, because all of my friends are here to enjoy. Most probably, they wanted to see the dance of. People say that Jekempu will do the dance today. So we are here to watch that also, and on top of that, we are here to meet our friends who are in different schools.
Like Purna, most young people came to meet friends and socialize. They were even excited about being able to see the Jekempu. It was almost 2 a.m. and the ceremony was about to begin. His Holiness the Jekempu slipped into the ceremonial hall without being noticed by most devotees. The ceremonial hall was shown to the thousands of people on 2 television screens. While a majority of the crowd watched and prayed along, some of the younger people were having a tough time staying awake. Although a majority of the crowd was young people, devotees included senior citizens and in some cases, even little babies. One thing seemed very evident in the middle of the devotion. The young people at the ceremony were there to witness something special and also to meet with friends and have fun. With cameraman Tinle, Tenzin Rabke, BBS News.
The completion of the longest bridge in the country over Amuchu will take longer than expected. Despite works being in full swing, the second deadline is expected to be missed. The construction of the bridge began in April 2009.
As part of the plan, the construction is scheduled for completion by December this year. According to the project officials, the construction of support pillars taken up by the Department of Roads was completed on time. However, the erection of main steel structure, which was contracted out, is taking time.
As per our agreement with contractor, the main steel erection works are supposed to complete by last month. But the case has not been so because they said they faced some problems in between. So we discussed the matter and decided to give them 4 more months.
The project managers of the contractors said the works got delayed mainly because they had to modify the fabrication works of the steel arc that was done by the previous contractors.
It's due to bad road condition between Finchling and Amochu Bridge, and it is frequently blocking. The second is the construction materials not receiving in time due to non-availability in the market, like cement and aggregates. Workers from India, and they leave the workplace after they get the payment and they return after 1 or 2 weeks.
The construction of the bridge had missed the initial deadline of September 2011. This was because the contractor who took up the project failed to keep up the pace of the project as expected. The work was then retendered twice, which also hampered the timely completion. The worth 240 million Nultram project, once complete, will link the Phuentsholing-Samtsi highway.
In the finals of the SAF Cup, Afghanistan ended India's domination of the South Asian Football Federation with an impressive 2-0 win. India have been SAF champions twice. Reports says that several Afghan parliamentarians arrived in the afternoon to cheer their team on, and rumored that one of them even announced an apartment and $25,000 for every player if Afghanistan won the match. The country is said to be jubilant over the win. For Afghans, this win is really a triumph of spirit after the many years of adversity that has beset the country. Afghan is at the 139th spot in FIFA rankings, placing better than most Asian nations, including Bhutan, who is at 207th position. Sonam, an employee of Amankora, has once more won the 4th annual tour of Dragon Mountain bicycle race. The race covers a distance of 268 kilometers from Bumtang to Thimphu.
37-year-old Sonam, an employee of Amankora, is still the winner of Tour of the Dragon. He had also won the race from last year when he completed the race in 11 hours. This year, he reached the finish point at Clock Tower Square in Thimphu after 11 hours 13 minutes at 13 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. Sonam's aim was to break his own record. However, due to bad weather condition, he failed.
Actually, I tried to break my record this year, and then actually I trained very well, and then I'm hoping to complete my race in 10 hours and 40 minutes. Unfortunately, because today weather is very bad and there is very heavy rainfall, and because of the weather, so I couldn't break my records. So now I'm hoping to break next year.
Sonam was awarded cash prize of Nultram 150,000. Rizin Norbu, who came in second place by completing the race in 11 hours 43 minutes, was awarded Nultram 95,000. The third prize, Nultram 75,000, went to Ugin Yezir. He completed the race in 12 hours 11 minutes. Meanwhile, 3 women who participated in the race, 33-year-old Sandra Walter from Canada was the first woman to complete the race in 8th place.
I'm very excited. I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I've never done anything like this before, so it was really a big adventure, and I just paced myself. And
the cyclist crossed 4 mountain passes: Kikila, Yotongla, Pelela and Tochula. The first Tour of the Dragon was started in 2010. A total of 38 participants, including 16 foreigners and 3 women, took part in the race. Karmat Singh, BVS News.
That is all for this week. Thank you for your time.